we have one more webinar, one more poll. So how important is social media to your marketing efforts? And you should be aware that some people think that it is very important and key to their business, but some of them think that it is some kind of a fad and they're more dependent on their traditional field force or telephonic sales and things like that. No answer is correct or wrong. Every answer is correct and every answer is incorrect. All the answers depend on what is your business condition. So if your customers are there only on street and they buy only on the street, then you should be on street. But if they are on the internet and they buy for internet, then you have to be on internet. So don't think any question is any answer for this is correct or incorrect. However, it really reflects the type of businesses you are. So it is already 1 minute over and 88% have voted. So I'm just closing it. I'll share the result for say 5 seconds with you. And very clearly, nobody says social media is not important, which is obvious. If you would have thought that social media is not important, you would not be attending this webinar. And typically all 100% are saying either it is somewhat important, very important, or primary marketing channel. So I believe it is very good. Still, we have a couple of things before we start. So we will do it very fast. So how many, have you run any email campaigns? So very simple question. Have you done any email campaign currently or, currently doing it or doing it in past? So we have got 25% people voted. I would request you to quickly vote so we can, the whole event is now coming to almost, most of the people have started registering. So we start with the webinar. So I'm just closing it here. It is in 30 seconds. 71% have voted. Yeah. So almost 70% have done it in past or are currently doing. 30% people are not doing. So let me tell you that for the 30% people, it is one of the most important kind of a campaign. If they try it out, they will get more benefits out of it. We have a couple of more things, and I'm thankful for your patience. So how did you get invite for this webinar? And since 50% people are new, I expect it would be more on social, but I'm not sure. So the early trends are email invite, which is really great. So probably they had given the email list somewhere to us, but they didn't attend earlier. Yeah. So 75% people have voted, and let us close it very fast. 80% people have voted. I would request all of you to vote, and I'm just closing it. Yeah, so still 50% almost have come from email. I presume most of the returning attendees would have come from email, and balance all would have come from some other mechanism. We come to the last poll. So so today's speaker, Mr. Ivan Beros, has got more than 3 decades of experience in this industry, both IT industry when he used to do amazing stuff with databases, especially Oracle, and now with digital marketing for last 7, 8 years. In the process, he wrote a lot of books, and he will introduce himself during the webinar. So don't take it as an introduction. But how many books he would have written, and that is a guess you have to make. So we have got only 50% people voting. It is a fun quiz. I mean, there is no award if you get it correct, and nobody will. It's an anonymous quiz, so nobody will laugh at you if you get it wrong. I would request all of you to vote, although you may not know him. Some guess. So some guess is I would request, and 88% people have voted, and I'm just waiting. That's it. So I am just launching the results. So at least 30% people seem to know Mr. Ivan Barros. So the books are more than 70. I would request Ivan to unmute yourself. Uh, uh, yeah, so Harshad is
Ivan,
asking refactoring of text first time. Okay. So good morning, Ivan. I think I'm closing the polls. Uh, I'm just closing it. You are the presenter, right?
that's right.
So over to you. I think everybody can see your screen now, and over to you, Ivan.
Thank you, Ajit. Hi, guys. I'll do a minute's presentation, minute's pitch about who I am. I'm an MTech MBA from Manchester, UK. This is something that happened a really long time ago, so I don't really leverage that a great deal. I've been an entrepreneur for 32 years, a tech author, and a mentor. If you log into Amazon.com and in the author section type in my name, you will see a ton of my books available for sale via Amazon. I also publish my ebooks via a publisher called Smashwords. I'm passionate about open source technology. I have been for more than 35 years. And I've been in digital marketing for the last 18 plus years. A lot of people express surprise at the 18 plus years. There was digital marketing 18 years ago, but there's been such a sea change and there's such an amount of new stuff that I've got to learn that I thoroughly enjoy digital marketing. It's always new, it's always fresh. Before I get involved with today's topic, I would like to make a pitch for a training program being delivered via TechExpla. So, are you disappointed with your website? Is it costing you money to set up and run year on year, returning nothing? Yet when you built it, you believed it would provide you an income. Ajit Joshi, Milita Datta, the people who run, they're founders of TechExpla, and I have come together via TechExpla, and we want to train you to change this using the webinar format. You will learn how to get your website found by people who will buy from you. You will learn how to populate your web pages and posts with content that people desire, that will keep bringing them back for more. You learn how to drive focus site visitors in significant numbers to your website using social media. And finally, you learn how to convert site visitors to paying customers and so much more. This is exactly what you'd want. TechExpla is where training is driven by passion and pedigree. Both Ajit Joshi and Milita Datta bring huge pedigree to the table. Now let's get involved with the topic of the day, email marketing. Are newsletters relevant? This is a question uppermost in most of the website owners' minds. There's a fair amount of expense in creating the most appropriate newsletter and dispatching it to a mailing list. Apparently, this delivers a 1% or less return. Hence the question, are newsletters relevant today? Newsletters are not a new marketing technique. They are a great way to ensure that information is safely delivered to a targeted audience. The issue is how to create newsletters that engage today's readers. For newsletters to be relevant, what's needed is content that engages, that adds value to your target audience. It helps generate leads because you need to get some income from it. It helps you convert leads to paying customers because that's when you get money in the bank. And finally, your newsletter strategy should blend and enhance your inbound marketing strategy. Now let's figure out whether newsletters deliver what is expected or not. Whether newsletters deliver what's expected must be seen from two unique points of view. The sender, the website owner, who has great expectations. The receiver, who is basically the website customer. Website owners tend to send tons of salesy emails and expect results, meaning tons of site visitors rushing back to buy. Newsletter receivers consider this to be spam. The newsletter adds no value to them. This is really a lose-lose for everyone. If you view it from this perspective, newsletters do not deliver. That's the bad news. The great news is you can change this. Never forget, everyone suffers from information overload today. The internet has made sure of this. Hence, your newsletter content must be relevant. It must add value and grab the receiver's attention. Focus on crafting remarkable newsletter content that educates and engages the receiver. Let's figure how to do this. Seriously look at the newsletter you are delivering. Is the format an ideal one to engage your target audience? Find out whether your target audience wants to read, watch, or listen to your newsletter content. Audiences have tastes that you must respond to. Engaging them is not a one-size-fits-all. Decide on whether your newsletter format will be plain text plus images, a video driven from a plain text message, a podcast driven from a plain text message. Using the right format for a newsletter is really important because format impacts a newsletter success. Now that we've got format sorted, let's figure out what's the most important thing to do. Choosing a newsletter. Why build an email list? I get this question asked to me plenty of times when I attend meetups, when I'm doing face-to-face lectures on digital marketing. I think this stems from the fact that the website owner believes that newsletters return nothing. So their query is, why build an email list? This is what I tell them. Each email ID is a potential lead. Each potential lead is a potential customer. You convert a potential lead to a paying customer using a value-add newsletter. Each paying customer is money in the bank, all stemming from a rock-solid email list. So let's figure out how you can build a rock-solid email list. How to build an email list. To build an email list, you essentially need only two things. A form to capture the site visitor's email ID and a bribe that can't be refused. If site visitors believe that your bribe is something they must have, they will share their primary email ID with you to get it. there is a simple way to check whether your bribe works. If a site visitor is willing to pay for what you are giving away free, your bribe works. Now that we've figured out what's the perfect bribe, let's look at different places where an opt-in form can be placed on your website. An opt-in form is placed within content as shown in the slide. This is a very powerful way of getting the site visitor to give you their primary email ID. The placement of the opt-in form does not force the site visitor's eyes to move away from the content which is engaging them. If the content is engaging, it triggers an impulse in the site visitor to share their email ID via the opt-in form. Filling in an opt-in form and hitting submit is always impulse driven. Some website owners deliver the opt-in form to the right or to the left of page content. Don't assume that web page content is always English. There are languages that are scripted from right to left. Here the opt-in form is usually on the left. This opt-in form placement position converts a lot less when compared to the opt-in form being placed within page content, largely because the site visitor's eyes have to travel away from what is engaging them, either to the left or to the right. This forces site visitors to disengage from the content, which often kills the impulse of the site visitor to share their primary email ID. Now let's look at a controversial opt-in form placement. Pop-up opt-in forms are controversial. 50% of the digital marketers believe the pop-up opt-in form annoys the site visitor, negating their impulse to share their primary ID. 50% of the digital marketers believe that a well-structured, well-timed pop-up opt-in form displaying a bribe that can't be refused increases site visit opt-ins by 300%. Please notice my emphasis on well-structured, well-timed pop-up displaying a bribe that can't be refused. The structure and the timing of the pop-up is crucial. I belong to those digital marketers who believe that pop-up opt-in forms work. Now let's talk about how you can get your site visitor to validate your mailing list. Every website owner needs to be crystal clear about whether they are dispatching their newsletters to a valid email ID or not. Wouldn't it be terrific if site visitors themselves validated their email ID for you? When they hit submit, an email should be immediately dispatched to their email ID with a clickable confirmation link. Only if the site visitor clicks the confirmation link must their email ID be added to your mailing list. No confirmation link, the email ID is not added to your mailing list. Hence, all email IDs in your mailing list are essentially site visitor validated. Let's take a quick look how this is done. Some website owners use their own web host's email server to dispatch newsletters to their mailing list. This is a bad idea. Your mail server can easily get flagged as a spam server, and your emails will get blocked down the email server forwarding chain. Using web-based email services like Aweber, GetResponse, Campaign Monitor, MailChimp, Constant Contact, and so on are really a great idea. Almost all of these web-based email services offer a free subscription. They have a few limitations, but you can use them, you can try them. All of them have a very, very modestly priced premium service, which I can't do without. Personally, I use MailChimp, and I have been using MailChimp for, maybe about 8-9 years. All of these automate sending out a confirmation link to the email ID that has just been submitted. Only if the confirmation link is clicked will this email ID be moved to an appropriate mailing list. Hence, all of these are site visitor validated email IDs. Let's understand why a web-based email service adds huge value to a website owner. Email services like MailChimp, Constant Contact, and almost all the others, they offer flexible design options. As a website owner, you don't sit down and create your email form. You don't create your newsletter. They deliver design options in which you can create your newsletter if you know how to use Microsoft Word. All of these are responsive. I don't know whether you guys realize it or not, but a very large percentage of people are checking newsletters on their mobile devices, just like the female is doing it in this slide. These email services provide list building tools. You can segregate email IDs into different lists, target lists with different kinds of emails. They provide subscriber profiles. They tell you how many subscribers in a list opened your email, read your email, clicked a link, took action of some kind. This tells you whether the newsletter content is engaging the people that you're sending it to or not. If no one is opening your newsletter, if no one is clicking your link, your email-based newsletters are simply not interesting enough. They have a lot of automation. They'll send out a newsletter with, hi Ivan, hi Ajit, hi Milita. It'll be personalized. So the mail is not just sent to someone without addressing them. They have a ton of advanced analytics. They allow you to share this stuff on social media, and all for about $9 to $19. If you're converting maybe $500, $1,000 worth of products and services every month, spending about $9 to $19 on an email service is really worth the money invested. Now let's pause a moment and take a quick look at spam and what happens if you don't use a web-based email service like the ones I've been talking about. Now let's see what's considered spam. Unsolicited commercial email. This is the official definition that prompted anti-spam legislation in the US and several other countries. Let's forget about this for the moment. It's irrelevant to us. Let's have a look at a more important area. How does the average newsletter receiver define spam? Email I don't want. If receivers start getting too many emails and don't want them any longer, they'll consider this spam. It doesn't matter whether they subscribe to the email newsletter initially or not. This is completely irrelevant. If your newsletters are simply not adding value to them, they're going to consider your newsletter as spam. Now let's look at another area that is far more serious than this one. Some nasty site visitors can subscribe to your website using an email ID such as spam@yahoo.com. If you're not using a mailing service that sends out a confirmation link, this is a grave danger. When you unsuspectingly send an email to any one of these type of email IDs, spam, yahoo.com, your emails are immediately flagged as spam by mail servers forwarding such mail, and they don't get delivered. Far more seriously than this, your sending domain, which is your own web hosting mail server, goes on a blacklist. And this blacklist is used by many organizations and individuals to screen for spam, which means that your newsletter is simply not reaching your recipient's mailbox. It's getting filtered and destroyed. Some other site visitors subscribe to your website using bogus email IDs, xyz@xyz.com. Your mailing list then contains a lot of bogus email IDs which will bounce. If you're using your mail server, your web host's mail server, and you're blasting out a number of emailed newsletters that bounce, then major ISPs notice this and they stop delivering your emails until you figure out what is wrong and set it right. Having a double opt-in email ID capture system in today's world is therefore mandatory. Use the free service. Most people don't have more than 2,000 email IDs that they're sending newsletters out to. You're really lucky if you've got 5,000 email IDs. I'm talking about 2,000 real, valuable email IDs. MailChimp gives you a free service for up to 2,000 free email IDs. So let's figure out how newsletter receivers decide which newsletter will be opened and read. When recipients decide which email they'll open, it's basically a 4-step process. They'll decide on open or trash. When email lands into your mailbox, in your mail client, whether it's Thunderbird or Outlook or whatever mail client you're using, it's usually bold-faced. Hence, the receiver can quickly identify unread mails. The receiver reads the sender's name first. Now, this is where, if you are a large brand, well-known brand, the sender's name helps. If you're an unknown brand, then the sender's name doesn't really help, because sender's name is what is read first. The next, the receiver reads the subject line and makes a very, very quick decision, couple of seconds, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, a decision whether this is just another salesy, spammy newsletter. And then they make a read or trash decision. Therefore, the subject line assumes great importance. Take a great deal of care when creating your email subject line. It should be something that immediately resonates, makes a receiver curious, tells the receiver that there is something really of value of them in the newsletter content, which will make them open your newsletter to read. Let's look at the structure of a really successful newsletter. Don't dispatch newsletters with unfocused content. Don't just send newsletters out because someone has told you that you need to communicate with your followers. That's a terrible waste of energy, time, and you will get people who will unsubscribe fairly quickly. Choose a single topic for your newsletter. Don't place in multiple different things and try and talk about 4 or 5 different things. Choose a single topic, add 3 or 4 specific, meaty, value add points within its content. Don't send newsletters every day unless you have awesome value add content every day. Stuffing your receiver's mailbox can turn them off very quickly, especially if junk is being sent in. Remember, 90% of your newsletters must add value to the receiver without selling anything. Then 10% can be salesy. Your receivers will open your salesy newsletters, read, and then there is an impulse which fires. Hey, this person has sent us a whole load of value. It would be a good thing to go out and buy something from them. And that's our way of saying thank you. Your newsletter must drive a receiver to a landing page. Don't send your receiver to the home page. Send your receiver to a landing page, which is associated with the product or service that you're trying to sell. I see tons of newsletters. When you click a link, it takes them to a home page, and the receiver is completely lost. They have no clue how to get to your products or services, and you've probably lost a sale. When your receiver reaches your landing page, right at the beginning, set expectations. Tell the receiver what your product or service will deliver explicitly. Don't bullshit there. This level of care when you're creating your newsletter and dispatching them could result in almost 0 subscribes. Let's take a look at what a landing page is. A landing page is a very special page. I don't know whether people have registered this or not, but a landing page doesn't have any menu items on there. There is no way that a user can navigate away from a landing page unless they use their browser's back button or they open a new tab and type a new URL in. So a landing page has absolutely no links other than the buy now link. Now let's take a look at this landing page. The structure, the design flow is that it has a very prominent headline, 7 universal conversion optimization principles. If your site visitor is really looking for this, that's quite an arresting headline. The subheadline supports it. Tried, tested, proven optimization principles you can apply to your online marketing funnel and increase conversions. Your subheadline, which is after that, supports this based on 4 years of research and over 350 real-life A/B tests. Just these 2 lines kind of highlight and grab people and tell them they need to come in. Your first bullet addresses a common objection that ebooks often take too long to read. The first bullet says, you can read the ebook in just 25 minutes. The book image faces the text. It's vertically slanted towards the bullets. guiding the reader's eye towards reading the bullet points. Testimonials with photographs. This subtly helps boost credibility to the testimonial. It gives the reader the imagination, the value proposition, that the testimonial is coming from a real human being. Now let's do a quick recap of what we have done so far. Newsletter workflow that will deliver 100% success. Always create and use a double opt-in mailing list. A single opt-in mailing list is really pretty dangerous. You can get your mail server banned. You can get your email newsletters stuck in your spam folder. You can get the email relay service refuse to forward your email newsletters, and you're dead in the water. Use an internet-based email service provider, Constant Contact, MailChimp, tons of them. Find one that suits your pocket. All of them have a free to use service. So try that, experiment with it. When you're happy, go on to the $9 service. And when you're earning a decent amount of money, consider switching to the $19, $20 service. It's really worth the money invested. Send out regular value-add newsletters. Stay in touch with your subscribers. This doesn't mean that you send newsletters out every day. Newsletters that contain salesy garbage. Buy my product, buy my product, buy my service. I am the cheapest. You won't find anybody cheaper than me. Hey, when you preach that kind of a song, people understand that value doesn't come with cheapness. Value comes with a certain amount of money that's being paid. Value is costly. So when you're sending out newsletters, send out newsletters once a week. Send it out once in 15 days if necessary. Stay in contact. More than once in 15 days, then I think your newsletter is not really working for you. Once a month, 12 newsletters in a year, not really working for you. 15 days is borderline. I'd send out a newsletter once a week. Ensure that your newsletter carry terrific headlines. The headline is what gets your newsletter open and read. Ensure that your newsletter is well structured. The text, images, podcast or videos all support one another. Remember the 90-10 rule? 90% of your newsletters should add value. 10% can be salesy. Send out a couple of newsletters and tell your receivers to move your newsletter URL from their promotion tab to their primary tab. A lot of people use Gmail, and Gmail has this nasty habit of putting your newsletters in their promotions tab. Do remember that if you're using any kind of email service provider like MailChimp, Constant Contact, any of these, Gmail immediately knows that this is a newsletter, and Gmail will immediately put it in the promotions tab. It's not coming from your web host's mail service. This is how Gmail figures that out. Make subscribers regular offers they can't refuse. Bribe them. Give them stuff free. Ebooks, white papers, run a webinar. Give them a few tutorials free. Use a TeamViewer, log into their computers and sort out a technical problem for them. Offer that in your newsletters, and they will move your newsletter from the promotions tab to the primary tab. Trust me, when they know you're delivering value, they'll take care of moving your newsletter from the promotions tab to the primary tab. And last but not least, drive subscribers to a landing page. Don't send them to a home page or an about us page or anything like that. Configure your landing page, be clear about your products or services, set their expectations, and convert them to paying customers there. Now, with your permission, because there were a few people that came in after I started speaking, I'd like to make one last pitch for the TechExplorer training. Are you disappointed with your website? Is it costing you money to set up and run year on year, returning nothing? When you built it, you believed it would provide you an income. Ajit Joshi, Milita Datta have reached out to me, and through TechExplorer, we've come together and we want to train you to change this using the webinar format. You will learn how to get your website found by people who will buy from you. Learn how to populate your pages with and posts with content that people desire. That is what brings people back again and again. Drive focused site visitors in significant numbers to your website using social media. Then convert these site visitors to paying customers, and so much more. Perhaps exactly what you want. TechExplorer is where training is driven by passion and pedigree. Ajit, I'm passing control back to you. I'm expecting you or Milita to now deal with the next stage. Thank you guys for listening to me. It was a pleasure talking to you. I'm ready to take question answers.
Yeah, so we will do one round of poll again, which is the last poll before the questions start. Meanwhile, you can actually, Mr. Beros, you could have maybe a sip of water or something like that.
Thank you. I'll do that.
A bit about the dates and all that. I would this training we are planning to do it after Dussehra. So Dussehra ends on something like 12th October. So we'll do it around 18th October, the next week after that. And we plan to do it twice a week and end it by Diwali. Right now it is not announced. Typically we announce it around 45 days before, but we will announce it now very soon. And those who are interested can obviously attend it. Yeah, so how many people have voted for the poll? Around 47 people have voted. I would request all of you to vote. And I'm taking questions, so let me check. So we have 13 minutes. So I'm unmuting Harshad. Harshad, you are there? Harshad? Harshad, you are there? So I will read out question of Harshad. Okay. So his questions have got answered. So so he has no question. So I will just unmute Harshad. I will unmute Komal. Komal, you're there?
Hi, I'm there.
Yeah. So you could ask your question. You had a couple of questions, right?
Yeah, I had one question which is answered. I just wanted to check that is there any particular template that we need to follow, and what if I want to have like a more of a image emailer than a content emailer with a good heading? Is it okay with that, or I have to the kind of template which was explained over here in the slide that needs to be followed?
Hi, Komal. Excellent question. What I'd like to do is remember that human beings are visual people. We react to images far faster than we react to the written word. So if you've got an image, if your newsletter delivers an image that speaks perfectly about your products or services, by all means use an image. The other suggestion I have is you write an arresting subject line for your email and deliver an image, and on the image use 2 lines, write a line or 2 of text which supports the image. So you can have a combination of an image with some text on it.
Right.
Finding an image-based newsletter, let's say finding 52, let's say you're sending out 1 newsletter a week, finding 52 perfect images that sell your products and services, different images. If you send the same image 52 times, your newsletter will get flagged as spam pretty quick. I wonder whether that helped.
Right.
No, but it might be a good idea to occasionally change your template. See what happens, Mr. Beros, is many times all these email softwares give you certain kind of a template and you tend to use the same template. So the question might be that should we use the same template or keep on changing the look and feel of email campaign?
Well, I interpreted Komal's question as, should a newsletter be largely image driven and not so much image and text? So both your answers, Komal.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah. Please,
Okay,
please.
so you both are right. I wanted to know both the things.
You got both answers.
Yeah.
Ajit dealt with one and I dealt with another.
Yeah.
Right.
So she had also asked the question on what you call on newsletters, but you answered it. So about your first poll. Okay. So Harshad felt the polls were quite confusing. So I will review it, Harshad. Thank you very much. So if anybody has any further questions, please ask it. We are there for another 1 minute, and I'll just try to unmute Mahesh Shinde because he had spoken a lot and most of his questions got answered while in the session. Mahesh, you're there?
Hello.
Yeah, Mahesh, you had any further questions or anything?
Yeah, you just said about that question that do we have to change our email campaign in an interval basis? Clearly.
Your voice is cracking.
Hello.
Do you have to change your email campaign at an interval basis? I think that's what he said.
Yes.
Let's look at it like this. I think the only thing that you can't change on a regular basis is either your girlfriend or your wife or your mistress. I mean, you'll be in big trouble if you do. Now, if you get newsletters that are sent to you repeatedly in the same format, you're going to be bored out of your mind, and those newsletters are going to be thrown into the spam or the trash can. They'll simply get deleted. So please change your email formats. Please change your subject lines. Please change the content. You've got to maybe get a good copywriter, good design person, and at regular intervals, keep changing them. If that answers your question.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot.
No.
So our good friend Manoj Shah writes that he got value out of the webinar. Thank you very much, Manoj. Somebody has actually raised the hand now. Hold on.
Yeah, please give him a chance.
Yeah, Saidat, you want to speak something? I can unmute you. Hold on. Yeah, Saidat, you wanted to speak something? So I think Saidat phone may not be, a microphone may not be working. Okay. So if anybody has any questions, we wait for another 30-40 seconds. Meanwhile, I'm reading some feedback. So, yeah. So what should we do when newsletters get filtered into promotional tab, which you answered, Ivan. You said that you should tell people not to put it in promotion.
I'd like to offer a suggestion. There's a beautiful little video available on YouTube, or there are multiple videos available on YouTube. Download that video and send it as one of the newsletters, so that your newsletter receiver knows how to do it, and they'll thank you for it. And they probably would move your newsletter out from the promotions tab to their primary tab.
Okay.
Yeah. How do we know what our audience wants for newsletter? That question is not answered.
Hey, it's your audience, yeah. You're selling the product or service. If you don't know what's appealing to your audience, get out of the business, do something else. I wouldn't be able. I can't answer that question at all. I have no clue what would make your audience turn on. Yeah.
So what I do is, Ivan, is these polls which I use, for example, post webinar the survey. So I keep on talking to audience. If there is no webinar for 2-3 weeks, I send a survey link. So that way I tend to listen to audience a lot and then try to create my content. And that has been helpful.
Very wise.
So
listening is a very big part.
Questions and try to speak to audience. So I could very easily, if I was a typical marketing guy, I would have done demographic survey. I would have done education survey. I don't do that because I feel I don't want to sell that information, my audience information to anybody. So I don't ask for demographics and educations and things like that, but I ask what is your interest, what would you like to hear. So for example, I have almost 15 years plus experience in infrastructure industry. Both me and Milita. Milita was also into enterprise storage and virtualization. So we want to do some infrastructure kind of webinars. So this survey after this webinar will talk about what kind of data center technology the people are interested. So I keep on asking. So that would be a question. That if you are not sure what your audience wants, at least keep on doing some survey. So that will give you some pointers what they want, what are their problems are, and you try to address it from the newsletter. As we talk, Harshad Nanal, the asker of question, has left. Okay. So I think we are at end of the session. We had said 11 to 12. Thank you very much for your time. Next week on Friday, the event is announced on Textply. You will get an email. So next Friday we have an event. Who is a CMO of a large software services company. So he would be coming and giving you some perspective of how B2B marketing is done using digital. Okay. So there's one more. Okay, so nothing. So there he would be speaking about it. Immediately after 15th August, we have a session on cloud computing. So Gopan Joshi, who is product manager, business manager at Reliance Jio, he will be coming and talking about their IoT cloud. So Internet of Things basically is a vast topic. In tech circles, it is well discussed. So we are right now having a network of computers when we are listening to this webinar. We also have network of devices. So devices starting from your video sensor cameras, your mobile phones, your fitness devices, and you can go on and on. So there are a lot of anything which has got an IP address is now can be part of Internet of Things. Even in power, you have windmills, you have factories, so everything is part of the Internet of Things. He's going to talk about how cloud computing would help Internet of Things. So he would be working on that. So thank you very much. So couple of So Komal says it was a good webinar. Harshal says that he seems to have come back. So he says it was quite an engaging session and actionable insights. Mahesh Sinde says it was a nice webinar and he learned a lot. So Harshad Nala says that the text of 4 questions is a bit confusing. So all blame lies on me. My English may not be very good. I should work on it if it was confusing. How often you send webinar? Which answer got answered? You answered it once a week. So thank you very much. Thank you, audience. Thanks for attending. and looking forward to listening to you, meeting you next Friday. Meanwhile, Ivan, thank you very much for your very interesting session. Bye bye. I'm closing the tab now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ajit.